You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Let's get spooky. You found Earth Station Boo, where horror lives, legends linger, and laughs are always waiting. Stay with us. You know you're dying to listen. And welcome to the Spooky and Kooky podcast of Earth Station Boo, where we talk all things horror. Introducing your horrorholic host with the mosty most. We got our kick-ass Karen.
What up, my horrorholics?
I am your terrifying T, and we are going to be talking about season 1 of the show Wednesday. But we've got 2 fun repeat guests for joining us. We have Sarah Rose.
Hello.
And we have Beth.
Hey, y'all.
All right, so let's get spooky.
Welcome to Modern Musicology, the podcast where we break down the hits, the albums, and the legends from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We're talking chart toppers, deep cuts, and the records your older siblings still won't stop playing. We cover everything from 20-minute prog epics to 3-minute punk songs and all the metal, rap, and pop in between. Modern Musicology, part of the ESO Network.
Are you a horrorholic? Then take your horror obsession beyond the podcast. Check out Earth Station Boo's merch store for killer designs to let the world know that you live for the scares. You can also join our Discord and hang out with fellow little ghouls, talk monsters, movies, and midnight madness. And if you want to support the show directly, visit our throne to keep the screams and laughs coming. Find everything in our link tree, and remember, stay spooky. Before we dive in on Wednesday season 1 and everything that goes on with that season, we obviously have 2 amazing people who've been on the podcast before, but we've got some new listeners. So ladies, if you guys could just give like a quick little elevator pitch so people get to know who you are really quick before we dive in. And Beth, do you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Beth Dolgner. I write paranormal cozy mysteries and urban fantasy. And yeah, Wednesday is right up my alley.
And Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Sarah Rose. I am kind of what I call a geek of many colors, where I love all things, anything fantasy, any kind of thing, urban fantasy, spooky, and I'm also a big 90s nostalgia person. So
yeah, no, definitely. All right, and if you haven't seen Wednesday season 1, please go watch it, then come back. If you have seen it, but it's been a hot minute, Karen, because she's really good at this, is going to introduce you to the show and kind of give you the whole little like plot and like what happens in this season. So, Karen, take it away.
It's basically the Addams Family, but grown up. You have Wednesday, who's now a teenager. Oh, God. Has more trouble at school than any other child that I've known. Goes to the special boarding school with other outcasts like her. Doesn't want to make friends, even though they're kind of like her. Hello, they're like you. Make friends. And then some strange shenanigans happen, more like murder, that happens throughout the whole season that she's trying to solve. Because, you know what? She's a writer. She wants to have her first novel written, just like her favorite author, Mary Shelley, trying to beat her record of writing at 19. So yeah, murder, mayhem, and mystery.
Yep. Pilgrims and whatnot.
Pilgrims and witches.
Mm-hmm. And severed hand. Because we love Thing here. I would take
Thing is amazing.
I would take a Thing any day.
Thing is one of my favorite characters on the show.
Mm-hmm. Right?
definitely.
Which we'll get into all that fun stuff. Where did each of you guys land with Wednesday season 1 going in? Like, were you a lifelong Addams Family fan? Were you a Tim Burton devotee? Are you a Jenna Ortega fan? Or did you kind of come in cold, or an amalgamation of all of the above? Sarah, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So as I said, I'm a big 90s nostalgia fan. So I came in for sure being a fan of the original Addams Family movies from that period. Christina Ricci's Wednesday, she was an iconic character and honestly somebody I really identified with when I was a kid. And so like I kind of came in, especially once they announced that she was going to be a part of it. I kind of came into the show because of that. I mean, I like Tim Burton's work. There's no doubt about that. But I wasn't necessarily watching it because of Tim Burton. It was because, I wanted to see what they were going to do and like if it was going to live up to the hype that had been up to that point. Because when they first announced it, like all of my friends were going nuts, and I'm one who I've got to know for myself pretty early on. So
Yeah.
Adam's Family Values is one of my comfort movies. I love those movies. I love Christina Ricci as Wednesday. She is always and forever my favorite Wednesday. And I also love Tim Burton's work. If my life had a soundtrack, Danny Elfman would be the one who was scoring it.
Right?
So knowing that Adam's Family and Tim Burton were two names attached to this project, I was cautiously optimistic going into Wednesday season 1, but I tried not to get my hopes up because I didn't want to be let down, and thankfully I wasn't. But between Christina Ricci and Tim Burton, I was very happy when they announced this series.
Rock on.
I really don't go into like being excited for anything. I just go with even kilter. I've always loved the Addams Family growing up because that was what my mom watched on the TV. Was Addams Family, Monsters, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, like all those shows. And so, and then, the movies came out and I was like, let me see. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And then, I heard the announcement of Wednesday and I was like, And then I heard Tim Burton. I love me some Tim Burton movies. I'm not like, a fanatic for Tim Burton, but I love me some Tim Burton. So I'm like, he's going to do some really good stuff. And then Danny Elfman came in. I was like, okay, this is going to be good. It's going to be good. And so, and then I found out like, the actors that were going to be in it. I was like, okay. Especially like, God, I forget her name. The lady who played the principal. Gorgeous.
Gwendolyn.
She's fucking gorgeous. When I found out, she was like, oh, y'all could like just go away. Everyone else could go away.
She is gorgeous. And like considering her other big role was like had the whole premise of her looking like a man in Game of Thrones and was ugly, to seeing her in Wednesday, she's absolutely amazing and stunning. It's like how
yes, like
yeah.
And then when there were scenes with her legs, I was like, girl. And then, I heard Christina Ricci coming in. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then, I actually enjoyed the the show, but Gwendolyn,
Right. She is a gorgeous woman. I honestly, like, I'm a lifelong Addams Family fan. Do I love Tim Burton? Yes, absolutely. But I am not the person who's like, oh my God, his new thing's coming out, I gotta run and like grab it. No, but I really do enjoy his things. Even when I don't know that it was him behind it. Like for the longest time, I didn't realize he did Big Fish. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's Tim Burton. No wonder I like that movie. Jenna Ortega had been on my radar, but I was not a fan per se. It was definitely one of those like, she's a good actress. Let's see where her career goes. But as soon as I heard that there was going to be a Wednesday centered storyline, I was like, ooh, this is going to be interesting. And then I saw Netflix was behind it. I was like, ooh, this could be bad because they're very hit or miss. It's either going to be 50, amazing 50. Or we're going to be like, can you not do that? So I was very, I was on the fence. I was hopeful, but I had some reservations, and I like what I like. Season 1, chef's kiss, in my opinion. But let's go ahead and start kind of talking about like some of like the storytelling and like the writing. Obviously, you have Alfred and Miles who created the show, and it kind of functions simultaneously as a murder mystery, a coming of age story, a monster thriller, and a love letter to the Adams family legacy. How well do all of these tones kind of coexist in 8 episodes? Like, this is kind of like a shorter series. Does the show kind of juggle it all really well for y'all? Do the threads kind of work together, or does it kind of bite off more than it can chew, especially in regards to the character itself, Wednesday? Beth, do you want to start us off on that?
Sure. I think that for the most part, it all functions really well. There is a lot going on in season one. And I think I've watched season one now 3 times, and every time I pick up on something that I didn't on previous viewings. I think my only major complaint about the storylines is I feel like the whole angle about Gomez having been accused of murder when he was a student at Nevermore doesn't really add much to the story, and maybe doesn't get the attention it deserved because it gets wrapped up very quickly. And I would have loved to have seen that drawn out over the course of more episodes and a little more suspense about what happened. So I think that the downside to having so many threads going on is that sometimes they don't get as much attention as they deserve with this show.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it was kind of supposed to be like a plot device for Laurel, but like she almost had like a whole other reason to want to be doing what she was doing.
Yeah, it seems a little unnecessary.
Yeah. So I get that.
I agree with the Gomez Morticia like love triangle kind of murder storyline. It felt to me like a vehicle to get those characters into the series more than it felt like a vehicle for the actual story. You know, they knew that Gomez and Morticia were going to be fan favorite characters coming in from like Addams Family Values and stuff like that. And I think that that was their way of getting it in and getting those characters to have more screen time, because I mean, she's away at boarding school. She's not at home. Mom and dad shouldn't play a huge role otherwise unless they had some kind of storyline. For the most part, it works well. They definitely tried to do a lot. There are a few things that kind of got lost. The whole Wednesday wanting to be an author thing was kind of started out very early and then kind of like dropped out. I don't know if it got lost on the editing room floor or what happened there. But in season one, like, it's brought up a few times. It seemed to be a bigger deal at the beginning than it did towards the end, in my opinion. Though it definitely helped her like murder mystery, like I'm trying to think of a detective. My brain is not going on, like Sherlock Holmes type thing going on. I think that definitely helped bring premise to that, but I think that they could have sold us on that part of Wednesday without the writer thing. I like that it gave her, though, like a little bit more depth. My biggest thing here is the romance kind of felt a little like CW, in my opinion. You know,
yeah, it did.
It was, I understand why they did it, but I don't necessarily think like the romance storyline needed to be added, in my opinion. Like I think she could have.
Hey, Jenna Ortega agrees with you.
I think they could have been away from it. I didn't know she felt that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
She actually really hated the fact that, and I have a feeling that it wasn't necessarily in the script, because the way she worded it in an interview was, she's like, look, like watching it, it felt unnecessary. And she's like, and I didn't realize like that's what they were doing in there.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm a teenage girl. She goes, but like Wednesday isn't a normal teenage girl. She doesn't have those like normal like inclinations or whatever. And so she's like, I really didn't like the fact that they made it some like weird love triangle thing that kept going on.
Especially because I wish they would have done more with her and Eden instead of the romance stuff. Like, I think like the building of the friendships and like her friend group and like becoming, you know, more of an adult could have replaced the romantic storyline, in my opinion. So
no, I get that.
Yeah.
Karen, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I think, the season one could have benefited for like two more episodes to like,
Yeah.
extend some of the storylines. Because I had more questions than I did answers. I was like, so Gomez and Morticia murder cover up? What's going on right there? And then you had like, the whole Hyde mother thing going on. And I was like, how did she is she dead? Did she disappear? What happened?
Right.
I know they tried to juggle like, the coming of age, the whole murder mystery, the whole monster friendships and whatnot, but it felt too rushed in a way because you only had like 8 episodes. I would have benefited more with like two more episodes to figure out like, more of what's going on. I was able to like solve the case within like the first 5 episodes.
Yep.
Oh, for
And my
sure.
sister-in-law was like, my sister-in-law just looked at me. She was like,
Pattern
what?
recognition was right there. And I was like, yeah, no, I know who it is. Especially because like they randomly dropped Christina Ricci in there at the end, like midst the beginning of filming. And I'm just like, yeah, there's no way that they're gonna bring her in and not have her play an important role. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I figured it out. Hmm. Now
Because
it's
she wasn't originally in the show. She came in, she replaced somebody. I don't remember who it was, but she replaced somebody.
yeah. And then, the whole romance thing. I mean, I was like, well, we're all kind of awkward teenagers having crush. I could see like two guys crushing on her, kind of like how it happened with her mother. Two
Yeah.
guys crushing on her, but she actually fell in love with one of them. And I was so hoping. Like, y'all seen the movie Transylvania?
Yeah.
Mm,
And I was like, we're gonna have a Mavis and Jonathan story. Oh no. Because to me, I would have loved to see a normie and an outcast together
Right?
in a healthy, relationship. And like he accepts her for who she is, like Jonathan did with Mavis. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy all this stuff. Just because I don't have a superpower or anything like that, I still love you for the way you are.
That would have been
Smile.
cool.
Oh,
And you're like,
yeah,
smile.
but I'm not sure like Wednesday, to be honest, like I think, Wednesday, one of the things is like she's twisted enough that I think I would believe more that she would like him when she realized he wasn't a normie than when she did, but not because he was not a normie, but because like she related to him more. Like from a he's more interesting to her, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like his
like
depth of character and stuff like that.
yeah, like for me, it was like if you were watching Family Values, where there was kind of a crush between, her and the dude, and they do kiss, and it was kind of cute. I was like, oh, and then they wipe their lips off. I kind of
mm-hmm.
imagined that for her, if it was came to romance, like, you help me out with this thing, kind of crushing on you, kiss, wipe off lips.
Yeah.
But yeah, season one for me it was good, but I wanted two more episodes to flesh out stuff.
I think like an extra episode, maybe even two, would have actually benefited a little bit. Part of it is because like we're getting reintroduced to the characters, but like almost coldly. You don't really get to see the relationship between her and Pugsley. You don't really get to see her and her parents prior to her going to Nevermore. And so there's like a lot of like people, if they never watched anything that was Adam's Family, they have not a fucking clue what is happening.
Right.
Like
They came in assumed the characters already.
And I'm not even saying that we needed like a full like background of the characters, but as somebody who does truly love the Addams Family, I think one of the things this show did is it didn't paint the Addams Family the way the Addams Family is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I think that was always my biggest complaint is you go back and you look at how it originated, and it was supposed to be this cartoon that showed a loving couple that actually cared for their kids, that actually cared for each other, and that wanted this strong family unit who was anything but normal. But they had like a normal family and actually healthy family structure. And so then you go and you have Wednesday, And there's none of those things. And so, like, a lot of people are like, oh my God, it's a love letter to the Addams family. And I'm sitting here going, no, it's not.
It's a reinvention of Wednesday, basically.
It's a reinvention, but to me, it's an inauthentic reinvention of the Addams family. And it doesn't mean that I don't love this. I just, as somebody who loves the Addams family, I loved what it stood for. And it was, despite the fact that they're spooky and kooky, despite the fact that they're not normal, quote unquote, they act like how a normal family, a normal healthy family should, where they love and they trust each other and they talk to each other. And like this kind of took that away from them. And especially with the fact that there was so much mystery and like you don't know what like the dynamics were amongst the family going into this. And so I wish that there was like a little bit, like that first episode was extended a little bit with like prior, like show what happened earlier on that day when she threw in the piranhas, like show the loving, like normal Addams family, like thing where like Gomez is sitting there and fencing with Thing, and Morticia's like, have a good day, kids, as she's cutting off the heads of her roses. And like the kids go off to school. And then you get like, you know.
And they could have accomplished that too with like more flashbacks and stuff like that too. Like
I wanted it personally, I wanted it in the beginning. I wanted it before she went to Nevermore. And the reason I wanted it before she went to Nevermore was so that way you kind of got here's the Addams family. This is the structure that we're working in. And then when you have this post where there might be conflict, it makes sense that it's abnormal for them to have this conflict. Because throughout the series, you can tell with like Morticia and with Gomez, they're like, this is so crazy. This is not normal. Like, we don't understand why Wednesday is doing the things that she does, because she's not doing what a teen should be doing. And like, they're like, it doesn't make sense to us. And it like, a lot of people are like, we don't understand why it doesn't make sense. Like, your kid. And it's like, well, do they?
But I think they never really give us a good explanation for why Wednesday and her mom have so much strife between them.
Exactly.
I mean, I think the closest they got to an explanation was Morticia was really good in school. And so Wednesday feels like she can't live up to her. But then Wednesday winds up being good at everything she does. And then there was some reference to her not wanting to be like Morticia and being just a mom, raising kids. And so I feel like, we could have used a little more clarification for why there was that rebellious streak in Wednesday.
Yeah. And
I think they wanted to make it like, a coming of age thing, because in a lot of storylines, like, again, I'm going to go back kind of to like that teenage CW type show that they seem to be mimicking here is, the mother daughter dynamic of like all of a sudden the daughter I don't want to be you, mom. I like teenage rebellion. And I think that that's kind of what they wanted us to assume was going on with Wednesday. But and I agree,
but it's the assumption that I'm having a problem.
Yeah, that like, I wish they would have not relied on the assumption of it.
Yeah. Because like you could even have like instituted that, like, I'm not gonna have a good day, like, mom, like whatever, there at the beginning. Like you could have already like shown like, oh, she's just being an angsty teenager, or an angsty teenager for Wednesday. Like you could have shown that like that first episode. And they did, but they didn't. It's just like, I don't know. Personally, as an Addams Family person, there was like a lot of stuff that I'm like, I think you could have done it better. Like, I see what you were doing, but you left, the foundation wasn't there for me. But I think like it is a little hard to kind of balance. Like some episodes were very much more murder mystery than they were coming of age versus being a thriller. So I think like there was maybe some hard times juggling all the different threads, but it still kind of came out with a pretty good end result in a way. I know we talked a little bit about Wednesday's relationship with Enid and how we all kind of wish there was a little bit more of that. And it's kind of the emotional part because there is a lot to it. And it's something that is kind of hammered in every episode. How do you guys think that friendship developed, and did it build to what we wanted it to be there at the end of the season for you guys? Karen, do you want to start us on that?
I mean, I would have loved to see more interaction between Enid and Wednesday. When I first saw them together, I was like, it's me and my friend Candace, because Candace is kind of like Enid, and I'm like the dark shadow in the back. But, I wanted her have like, a little bit more interaction with Enid. I wanted them to like share more differences than their color and their personality. I wanted them to like, go out on adventures. And, I wanted Enid to be like, when they go out, Enid to sit there talking her head off. And, I wanted something, because it seemed more placed there as just a foil, but you're not really a foil for each other. You only saw the bright and colorful versus the dark and remorse and somber. I wanted to have more interaction with her roommate, because, most of the time kids are going to be in the rooms, they're going to be stuck in the rooms together. So you have no choice but to interact. Yeah, you go to classes, but at least you'll have one or two classes together, right? Right. But it seemed like more of, she was just thrown in there to be thrown in there, for me anyways. But I wanted the relationship to be like, organic almost. I wanted to see Wednesday opened up more. I mean, you saw more emotion for Wednesday when Thing got hurt. I cried too. I cried when Nero died.
Yes.
Yeah. But I wanted her to like open up like she did with Thing, I wanted her to like experience feeling not just for herself and her family, but for outsiders as well. Because in the original, Addams family, they embraced outsiders. They did. They're like, we don't care who you are or what you are. Come here. Yeah. And I didn't get that nostalgia that I would have gotten with their relationship.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you other ladies?
So Wednesday and Enid, I did feel like they were supposed to be like showing like the heart of Wednesday, the character Wednesday, and like the sentimental, like feel good part of the show was supposed to be shown through Wednesday and Enid's friendship. And I think that in that way it works, but it seems we don't get enough of them to make sense in the end for me. Okay. Like, for example, like Wednesday, all of a sudden Enid's fighting for Wednesday, like to the point where she gets so overrun with emotion that she finally wolfs out and stuff like that because of Wednesday. I don't feel like they had done enough friendship work to get to that point. Okay. It didn't make a lot of sense for me, and there's a lot of time missing. That's why I said, like, I wish they would have taken back the romance part of the storyline, all the time they spent on that, and it showed Wednesday and Enid and why Wednesday actually ended up liking Enid at the end, because it was very obvious she did not care for her. And as somebody who I would call myself a mix of the two characters for sure, I can understand why they didn't immediately mesh together, but I can see the friendship building. I didn't get the why the friendship built. So I like the idea of Wednesday finally allowing herself to care about somebody, but I just don't understand why she was caring about her.
Yeah, because I'm like, I just because we're acquaintances, I'm not going to wolf out just to protect you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it felt like. They were more of acquaintance. Like Enid was doing all the work.
Which,
And it was
Yeah.
it's like, just because I like you, we room together, I'm not going to wolf out just to protect you.
yeah.
Okay. There's no benefit here because you're not showing me love. I'm showing you all this love. You're not showing me love.
Yeah. Yeah. Beth, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, my favorite relationship in the show is not Wednesday and Enid. It is Thing and Enid. I love their friendship. When he takes her hand after she's transformed back to human after wolfing out is like just the sweetest little moment.
Right?
They had more
But I
chemistry.
agree with all of y'all. I would have loved to have seen more screen time of that relationship developing. But one of the things I like about the two characters is that for as different as they are, they're also really, really similar. Enid is tenacious, like every bit as tenacious as Wednesday is. It's just that Enid is not a sociopath. And so instead of pushing everybody away constantly, she wants to be friends with everybody. And come hell or high water, she is going to be friends with you. And
I have
think
met
that
many a golden retriever that way.
right?
It reminds me of high school, to be honest. My best friend in high school, I was like, I am going to be your friend and you will not get rid of me. I'm stuck to you. And yeah, that was.
I mean, they are teenagers at a private high school. So
and she's a wolf who likes that pack mentality and having people around her. And I love the scene when we see Enid with her parents during the parents' weekend and how she's rebelling too. The same way Wednesday is. She's rebelling with pastel hair and being very bright and bubbly and cheerful. So I think that there's interesting parallels between the two of them, even though they are such polar opposites. And I wish that maybe we could have, seen the two of them navigating those similarities and differences a little bit more. And again, that goes back to if we'd had 2 more episodes, we could have had some more time to have those two hanging out.
Yeah.
It was really funny when I saw the whole family. I sat there and looked at it and I was like, this reminds me of the werewolf family in Transylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How the boys were sitting there fighting with each other and the dad looks all like beaten down by life. Mother constantly pregnant. Well, she's not constantly pregnant, but still she has opinions. I was like, this is Transylvania.
I wonder if they have any similar writers.
That's what I was just wondering. I'm like, might go look that up.
Yeah. I think they showed the major points in their relationship, which would have led them to where they ended up, but they didn't show the in-betweens. Like, they didn't show them at dinner, having dinner together, doing their homework, and having it be kind of like the mundane stuff. But like, that's where people connect. That's where people start to meld together. And they lived in a room together. Yeah, I know, like, Enid moved out there for like a hot minute, but like she kept coming back to the room. So there had to have been something there already. Like, despite the fact that Wednesday was like, she still, there was still that, like, there was still something there. And I'm betting it was something that would have developed in like when they were sitting there getting ready for bed, or they were having dinner or breakfast or lunch, or, hanging out outside of the bedroom or even in the bedroom. And there's like that mundane thing that like connects you without you even realizing it. Like, how much you want to bet, like, there's like a way that they eat something that is exactly the same.
Right.
Or I could see like Wednesday editing her blog, Enid's blog, and being like, you have all of these misspellings and you forgot commas, and what does this word even mean? Like, this is not a word. Like, that would have been a bonding point for them. So.
Yeah. Or hell, I mean, knowing Wednesday, she would not have even approached that as like a in-person thing. Like, but Enid, no, like, she would just do it before Enid even realized it. Like, she would publish something and then Wednesday would just go back in and like do and like republish it correctly.
or like print it out and like give her like the red pen.
No, because that's too much interaction. That's too much interaction for Wednesday. I think there were things that, like, had they been able to Had they been able to like actually like give us a little bit more, so again, it's that like extra episode, 2 episodes, we could have gotten that little bit more mundane relationship that they had, just simply being, it's a forced proximity deal. Like, I know that's like a massive writing trope is the forced proximity. They had that. They were roommates. They had to kind of come together. So I think there's like a reason behind it. They just didn't show it the way that they should have. Like, I feel like that was kind of the thing with a lot of it is if they showed a little bit more behind the scenes, a lot of this other stuff would make more sense at the end of it.
Totally.
If you're going to nitpick it the way that we do.
Yeah. I just think that the interpersonal was not their priority in this. It was more
it was definitely heavier murder mystery,
but also they were trying to bank from the nostalgia, you know.
Oh yeah.
Giving us all the characters we want to see. I mean, they even found a way to bring Fester into it. So like, you know, I think that was their priority, was the IP first. The story, it was definitely a second or a third part of it.
I didn't much care for like the actor that played Fester. I'm the same.
Yeah. He was not the Fester of the 90s movies.
Yeah, he was definitely not a Christopher Lloyd.
But he's also not the Fester of the cartoon series either. He didn't, not the cartoon series, but the original the TV series that I grew up with and loved so much.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he Fester was not what I wanted from my Fester, but everybody has their own opinions on that. Let's kind of talk a little bit about like the mystery of the hide and the monster killing spree and like all that kind of stuff. How well did that build and land for you guys when it came to that part of the series or the season, I should say? Go ahead, Sarah.
I heard, that's all I heard.
Yeah. So the hide mystery, it was fun, even though it wasn't impossible to figure out. It was a fun, but I think it works less because like it was a shocking thing, because I don't think it shocked anybody on this podcast who the hide ended up being. And I think I
agree with you, but I will say this, the average person, it did.
Okay. Maybe not everybody has that good old ADHD pattern recognition superpower that I seem to have. But it does connect to like that theme of like manipulation and revenge. It was entertaining enough. The character design, it felt very Tim Burton, but it made me laugh. Like, I actually watched this. In order to prep for this, I rewatched the season, and my mom was in the room when I was watching it, and she actually laughed the first time she saw the hide, which you shouldn't do that.
But it was hilarious, though.
Character. But I just think that like they could have. I wanted more monster out of the hide, I guess, for me. So
okay. Karen, what about you?
The hide was just hilarious. Like the monster. When I first saw it, I was like, "It's supposed to be a werewolf." No, that's not a werewolf. What the fuck is that thing? What the hell?
As somebody who loves Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, though, I love that part of it. Like, it's one of my favorite stories. So
yeah, and I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm like, okay, now I know who it is, because I'm looking at the hair. I'm looking at everything. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I know who it is. But it was okay. So it was a fun little mystery, I would have to say. But for me, I would have done a twist of, well, there's two type of hides. You have your hide monsters who are like, you have the DNA of the hide that they have to have a master to command it. And then you have the Jekyll DNA who they know how to, like, command themselves. They know how to restrain themselves. They know how to do all this. They can Hulk out like the Hulk. See, that would have been like, a whole other thing, a twist. Like, yeah, I'm not killing people. Just because I'm a hide doesn't mean I'm going to be mindlessly killing people. I have other things to do. Okay, I have experiments and shit. And so, that would have been like a really cool twist to have. Is like you had two hides in there. And this one of them was like, yeah, I could have told you the second monster the monster was a hide, but no one asked me anything. Like you didn't ask, that whole you knew what it was. Well, no one asked, but the whole like, monster thing was really, really funny for me. And I actually liked the whole tearing the people apart because I was like, that's funny. His arms over there, his legs over there. I think his torso is somewhere over there.
The prop department did have some fun.
Right?
They did have a little bit of that, though. Nobody asked me thing because Weems knew it was a hide.
Yeah, that's true.
From the start. And just like nobody asked Weems, so Weems didn't say.
But they didn't ask her the right questions.
That's true.
Because they did ask if it was one of the outsiders.
Outcasts.
Yeah, outcasts.
But it been like, really, really cool if there was like, somebody who was like, God, the fuck that male character's name is. Well, the little normie boy who was also
Tyler?
a hide. Huh?
Tyler.
If it was another, hide who's, it's like, yeah, I'm a hide, but I don't know who the other hide is, but I know that monster is a hide.
They would have made like the shopkeeper or something like that. Some character like that was a sub character that you wouldn't have expected to be another hide.
Yeah. Because now you have like two hides, like which hide is doing it? Like, I just like my taxidermy. That'll be me. It's like, yeah, I just like my taxidermy and shit. I don't like killing people. Why are you asking me this question?
Kill little rodents so that I can turn them into like different types of characters.
Like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I was disappointed just that it was this great buildup of who's doing all this killing, and Wednesday's working so hard to find out who it is, and then she winds up finding out just through a psychic vision. Like all along, all she had to do was kiss everybody in town and she'd find the answer. So I felt like that was a little bit of a letdown because she didn't solve who was doing it. She just got a psychic vision. So I felt like that was a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah, that was kind of.
She never got her aha moment,
Exactly.
She never proved herself an actually good detective.
Yeah.
Like the character that she's writing.
Yeah.
The character that she wants to be. Yeah. No, I think overall, especially if you're not somebody like us who like sits there and is like, magnifying it, going, oh my God, who's the hide? And like, granted, yes, it very obviously it looked like Tyler and it had to have been Tyler. But like, that's why I kind of wish like the hide itself actually looked different. Like, it was like kind of what we think of like when we think of like a hide. But like, I just wish it was like a little bit more. Like it turned a different color, or like its face became a little bit more disfigured. Like I just wish it was just a little bit more than what it was.
When you read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, he doesn't turn into a monster. A Hyde is not a monster in that sense.
I understand that, but like in the show.
No, that's my point. That's what I was going to agree with you. So like, I think if they would have made Tyler unrecognizable for the most part, but normal looking, it would have been a bigger like mystery to us. Like, because you have this person like who's creepy as all get out, and he kind of looks familiar, but he doesn't, versus turning him into a big monster. Or if they wanted to go monster, as I said, I wanted more monster and less like goofy looking, googly eyed dude.
It kind of reminded me of the CG werewolves of like Harry Potter. I'm like, you looking kind of scroggly there, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, but like that's what I'm trying to say is like I wish that instead of him being just a slightly disformed version, he looked drastically different. Because I think that would have been more for the payoff for people like us who would have been like, wait, it should be him. It would be then more like, but that doesn't look like him at all. Like, that's what I was trying to express. But I don't know. It's one of these deals of like, I liked it. I wish there was just a little bit more to it, if that makes sense. Like, it was like, okay, this works, it's not bad. And they left a lot open. So it was one of those like, okay, what else are we going to be getting? Because like I have a whole fuck ton of more questions. Obviously, the critics as well as some of the fans compare this to Harry Potter, to Riverdale, a few other shows along that same kind of vibe. Do you guys think those comparisons are fair, flattering, maybe reductive to a certain extent? And did this season actually really land for you? And does it kind of set up season 2 for you?
I think they're fair, but they're also a little reductive. I mean, A School for Outcasts obviously invites that Harry Potter comparison, and the mystery elements definitely have like that Archie Riverdale DNA stuff. But Wednesday has a darker sense of humor than both of them. So in that case, it really is its own thing. I'm obviously the person who said I'm comparing it to a CW, but I'm only comparing like that certain element to a CW show. Now keep in mind, I stopped watching Riverdale about once they started getting into the whole like occult, like weird antler guy thing. I stopped watching Riverdale. So
That's where they lost me too.
I think that's where they lost everybody.
I think, yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, this makes no sense. You're not getting to the point. You've lost me like halfway through the season.
Yeah, my sister was like, they started bringing in D&D shit and this whole occult shit, and I'm like, I just can't.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're supposed to be tied to Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but not like that.
No. Well, all Archie comics are supposed to be tied together in some vein, but I think the comparisons, I can see where they're coming from, but they really are different. I mean, Harry Potter, whether you love Harry Potter or hate Harry Potter, has a lot more heart to it. It's not as spooky as this is. Riverdale is a lot more adult oriented, like teen adult oriented than this is. I do think that like Addams Family is its own thing. It feels very Tim Burton, very spooky, gothic in that place. I just disagree with those comparisons.
Sure. Beth, what about you?
I agree that it's similar to Riverdale, but specifically Riverdale season 1, because I felt like season 1 of that show, it was a lot like Wednesday season 1, where it was chaotic. There were a lot of threads to follow, but it was very smart writing. I mean, aesthetically, obviously, very different shows, but I think in terms of just a very, very smart storytelling, there are similarities there. But I don't know that we've ever really had a show like Wednesday, where again, our protagonist is a sociopath. We should not like Wednesday, and yet we all do. We all find ourselves cheering for her. And I kudos to both Jenna Ortega and the writers for managing to make us care about somebody who does not care about anybody else.
Yeah.
So I think it is difficult to compare it to other shows because it's just such a different setup than anything that we've seen before.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
The only thing they can take from Riverdale, and I think, Shannon, you're going to know exactly where I'm going with this, they need to have a musical episode. So,
I mean, I feel like everything has to have a musical episode.
Agreed.
So
they do that's neither here nor there. Season 3, let's bring on the full-blown musical.
Right, right. Karen, how about you?
It's both fair and unfair to compare them. Because, Harry Potter is aimed for a certain group of people, and Riverdale is also aimed for another group of people. And, it's more of like the older teenagers. So it kind of sits in the middle, really. You have your young adults over here, your young little kids. Then you have Wednesday, which is like, that whole awkward puberty thing. And then you have Riverdale, more towards the older young adults. So it's kind of fair and unfair because Wednesday is its own little world, because you have this young child, girl, woman, who she is a sociopath and also a psychopath, really, when it comes to torturing her brother. who, she only think person she cares about is herself. And you don't want to like her, but you like her.
And her scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved her scorpion. Man,
Poor little
I only
scorpion.
got like a 2-minute, introduction to her scorpion. And I was like, oh, this is good. No.
Right.
Trauma.
It was nothing but trouble. I was
Right?
like, what? The scorpion did nothing. Nero did nothing to you. And so, I think that's the reason why she kind of like, only kind of cared for herself, because she loved Nero.
Yeah.
Nero loved her, and then he died, and it was like, well, fuck everybody else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Except for my brother, because I'm going to continue torturing him.
As is the job of the elder sister.
Well,
in that regard, she reminds me of my brother. Like let's be honest. Like, me and my brother, we have our problems, but nobody fucks with me other than him. Like,
I torture my brother all the time. If somebody else tried to.
In the original comic series, he was supposed to be older.
Yeah,
but the newer renditions, he's younger. But yeah, I enjoy Wednesday for what it is, and I enjoy Harry Potter for what it is, and I don't say I enjoy Riverdale, because there were some things I was kind of like,
I enjoyed Skeet in Riverdale.
Yes, I was just about to say the same thing.
I
like
God.
that they had musical episodes. That's about what I took from Riverdale, I'm going to be honest.
Like, Skeet. I enjoy Skeet. That was it.
Skeet.
Skeet, motherfucker. Oh, Skeet. Damn. There was like some things that you're kind of like, although I love that they compare it to, like, other dark urban fantasy type things. It's this own little thing.
Yeah.
Like,
if you were going to compare it to something, I would compare it more to like a Buffy than I would compare it to Riverdale, to be honest, where it's more episodic, but like interconnected storylines, and like it has like that Scooby-Doo gang thing is not as prevalent as it is in Riverdale. And like I would compare it more towards like Wednesday is the chosen one, and she has these people as a gang.
That's fair.
I would.
Yeah,
that's fair. They're all, Harry Potter, not so much urban fantasy, but they all are these coming of age tales with individuals trying to solve whatever the mystery of the day is. And they're all fruit. Mm-hmm. You're going to compare them. However, it doesn't mean that you can't have your favorites. Like, I'm allergic to bananas. I'm never going to like a banana. Simple as that. But that doesn't mean I can't enjoy a kiwi. Doesn't mean I can't enjoy oranges. Like, it doesn't mean like you can't enjoy these other things, and that these other things can't be, in one's opinion, better than something else. So I feel like that's how I feel about when it comes to like shows like this. Like, it's fair to be able to say, hey, they're of the same umbrella, but at the end of the day, you can't sit there and be like, well, Riverdale does this and Harry Potter does that, and how dare Wednesday not do these things? Like, that's silly. And there were critics who were doing that, and that's where I'm like, should you be a critic if that's what you're doing? Because you shouldn't be comparing it. If you're going to compare it to something, you should compare it to itself, which is other Addams Family media. Like, you shouldn't be comparing it to the slew of other things that are out there that people are watching. But I do think Wednesday set itself up for more seasons. The way that they wrote it left so many things open in a way that made you curious for another season. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yes, but they also wrapped it in a way that if we didn't get any more, that it was a satisfying ending. Yeah. Because it was very obvious that they weren't sure that they were going to get another season. And that I liked. There was not a major cliffhanger.
That was better than having something. Yeah.
All right. So the performances. We've got Jonah Ortega. She has become the face of Wednesday Addams. Obviously, holding the entire series now on her back, and obviously did that iconic improvised dance sequence. How do you guys think her performance held up as Wednesday Addams? And if we compared it to some of the previous Wednesdays, how do you feel like she did? Beth, do you want to start us on that?
I think she's much darker, than Christina Ricci's Wednesday, and the one from the TV show when she was just a cute little kid who wore black. So, yeah, I think that she did a very capable job. And it's like I was saying before, we should not like the character of Wednesday, at least not for the first half of the season. And yet I'm rooting for her. But if I knew her in the real world, I would probably walk down the other side of the hallway when I saw her, because it does seem like everybody she touches winds up injured or dead. But I think she does a great job of playing this absolutely unsympathetic character in a way that we do feel sympathy for her. And I think a lot of that is such subtle little clues, like a small little facial expression, just slight little inflection in her voice to kind of to show that some of the criticism does bother her, and that sometimes she is a little more sensitive than she wants the world to believe. And so I think Jenna Ortega did an excellent job portraying all of that in very, very subtle ways.
Yeah. I mean, she did a good job being this version of Wednesday, which is kind of funny because I would probably been friends with her in high school. She'll probably be more afraid of me than I'm of her because of how I am and who I am, and hiding the body is not a problem for me. You will be best friends. Like, did you kill somebody? Okay, let's hide the body. And this is what we're gonna do. She'll probably be more afraid of like how I go about hiding a body.
Okay,
but she'll probably like me anyways.
Question: have you guys seen the TikTok trend of women replying to like their friend who is like, my boyfriend beat me up, and like, because it starts with like this chick who's like whole like side of her face is black and blue, and the girl is like telling whomever, here, you're gonna hold my phone, here's my debit card, I want you to go to the little corner store and buy something with my card in about 30 minutes. Where are you going? You don't need to know that. And as they're like putting like trash bags inside of a bag with shovels and like all sorts of other things, like, you don't need to know. Just do these things.
Is somebody walks in and like you see a clip of a woman and going, oh shit, what do I do now? What do I do? I okay, then like they start to try to drag something, and then the best friend comes in and she stops, like, and she just looks, and then all of a sudden she's like, okay, give me the head, like let's dispose of this, like Earl's Gotta Die style.
Right
problem solver.
Yeah, there's always a problem solver. But this version is way darker than the other renditions of Wednesday. In the comic series, you really don't know her age or anything.
Yeah.
Her personality. She was kooky. And then, in the series, the TV series, she's just a cute little girl who, has a penchant of wanting to torture her brother. And then in the movies, you see the whole sibling dynamic. And then you have this where you don't get to see full well of the sibling dynamic, but she's a whole lot darker than you would expect of Wednesday. And I kind of like that because sometimes you have to go to that dark side of life, of personality.
Yeah. Sarah, how about you?
I guess I think she was fantastic as Wednesday. It impressed me that she didn't try to intimidate Christina Ricci, because I think that would have been a disaster for fans of the movie, movies, because it would have just felt like, okay, this person is trying to come in and reinvent the wheel. Okay, instead she just went completely different. Christina Ricci's Wednesday, she is deadpan but mischievous. Okay, she's got a little bit more color to her personality, versus Wednesday, she feels more intense, more socially disconnected, emotionally guarded. I might even throw like maybe some CPTSD in there from the Scorpion incident. Like,
I mean, I have PTSD from that, man.
Like, definitely like that sociopath vibe that Ricci just never gets to. Okay, in my opinion, in the movies. But she does feel very authentic to the character of Wednesday Addams. She feels like an Addams. I can see her in this universe, and so I think she was fantastic as that. Like, and her whole her dance thing, you can definitely tell that she is a fan of the original, because it's hard to believe that she made that up, and she made that up on the spot, like while she had COVID at the time. Like,
I mean, she had said that she had done some research on like things that she wanted to do, but nothing was choreographed. And
nothing was choreographed.
And she did
it
want
on the spot.
But she did want to make a nod to
The
original. Yeah.
Like I know
The original live
is the
action.
dance in it was it in Addams Family Values?
No, the original show. In the show,
in the original
little girl,
show,
the little girl,
Yeah, she
did like a little
dances.
dance.
She was teaching Lurch how to dance.
Yes, but she also did like the whole like tango thing from the movie, like, and there were nods to both of them for me. And again, I am more of a fan of that 90s movie than I am the original show. I've seen the original show. It's just been a minute.
Yeah.
If you have Play-Doh TV, there's a channel that's nothing but Addams Family.
Yeah. Yep, there is. I think Jenna did a great job. Obviously, this Wednesday is more in depth than any of the other Wednesdays that we've had. And I'm okay with that. Like, I think we needed it. But this is also a Wednesday that is like the next level up. You have like the original cartoons. It kind of gives you like the genetic makeup of what Wednesday's supposed to be. You have that original show where you can see that this girl does not think that beheading her dolls is weird. Like, she thinks that's absolutely like super normal. And then you have Christina's, where you can see the torture mindset is like fully in place. Like, yeah, maybe not to the same level as Jenna's, but it was there. Like, the things that she wanted to do and was trying to do, not normal. Not normal at all. The sociopathic tendencies were there. They just weren't fully developed yet. And then you have Jenna. She's the next step up. And she is like the fully realized sociopath who knows that she likes torturing, knows why she likes it, and chooses when and whom she likes to torture. Like, this is somebody,
and it's an art form to her.
Yeah. And so I think Jenna did a great job encapsulating that and taking into heart that like almost all of the Wednesdays were very straight face. All of the Wednesdays are very like, boom, straight personality type deals. And Jenna hit a nail on the head. She thought about like, okay, what would Wednesday be like in, this century? And that's what she did. And that iconic dance scene, man, like, people still to this day sit there and like will do that dance. Like, I can't tell you how many times like I've gone out someplace and like if Lady Gaga comes on or Goo Goo Muck comes on, boom, they're there and they're trying to do her dance, and it's just like, okay, all right, I see you guys. I see the influence. Obviously, Christina did pass on the torch for Jenna by appearing as Marilyn Thornhill, aka Laurel, in this show. And it's a completely different character than her iconic role as Wednesday. How do you think this choice lands, and how well do you think Ricci did? What do you think it kind of means for horror when like this legacy and this new generation kind of connect kind of in a poetic way?
Well, for me, it wasn't really passing the torch, more as, getting a nod to like I was this character, now I get to see the younger generation do what I did,
How is that not passing the torch?
Well, for me, it's not really passing the torch. It's just doing a nod, because for me, like, Ricci's Wednesday was more of the kooky spooky, while Ortega's is more of the I will kill you and not really care about you. I want to get things done my way. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. Okay. It was kind of real, because when they put her in there, I was like, she's going to be the villain. And I was right. I was like, damn it. She's going to be the villain. I know it in my heart. Because when I first thought it, like they said that she was going to be in it, I was like, okay, so she's could be like a good guy or maybe a relative of the Adams. And then I saw her and I was like, she's the villain. That did not land well with me. Because if I could figure it out that you're the villain within, our first time seeing you, I don't know if it's because I've watched too many horror stuff or watched too many true crime stuff or if
I
my
chalk it up
ADD.
to that.
Huh?
I chalk it up to that personally. Like if I catch something like super quick, I just chalk it up to the fact that I've seen like a million horror movies, and like once you see the pattern, it's not hard to scope it out.
Pattern
That's true.
recognition is absolutely a thing. I don't know if it was a passing of the torch so much as it was a blessing.
Yeah, for me it was a blessing. And so you can see like the legacy going hand in hand, shaking each other. Like now you must, connect with the newer generation.
Mm-hmm.
Show them what you got. It's like I am of this generation. They love me.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to love you as they love me. So you're supposed to be this generation's, But I also love the comic and the TV series.
Yeah.
And I still can't believe, Aston is still alive.
Yeah.
That man's old as fuck. Not as old as Dick Van Dyke, but he's old. So I enjoyed, Ortega's version because, like I said, she's dark. Sometimes you need that dark entity in your life.
Yeah.
I wonder who would survive, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Beth, how about you?
Oh, I was just tickled the first time the two of them had screen time together. It was just like
Really?
the two Wednesdays. But what I love about Miss Thornhill is like Christina Ricci, she's supposed to be the sweet, nice, staff member, but she's so good at being just slightly creepy and like slightly off-putting. So even, and I know part of it was the glasses because they like magnified her eyes, and so it gave her sort of this distorted look. But like the way she smiles, it's like, what's going on? What's really going on? There's something wrong here. And I think she plays creepy so well.
She does.
I don't know if you guys ever saw the Lizzie Borden Chronicles.
I did. I love
phenomenal
so
in
good.
it.
So good.
She's just so good at those characters where you're like, there's more going on here because there's just something not quite right. So yeah, I feel like I know she wasn't, originally supposed to play that role, but I feel like it really kind of worked out for the best because having her show up, it just delighted all of us from like our age group that grew up with her as our Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah. Sarah, how about you?
I loved it. Like part of me could actually see her version of Wednesday turning into a Thornhill type character. Okay. Because I guess I don't see as much of a progression between Ricci's version of Wednesday and Ortega's version of Wednesday, but I do see like a little bit of that creepy, kooky, mischievous part of Ricci's Wednesday in Thornhill. And I mean, like, you knew she was the villain right from the start. I mean, she's a normie who's obsessed with poisonous and deadly plants. I mean, come on. Like,
hey, what are you saying?
I mean,
as I clutch my pearls.
But I think she gets to make people like us who've grown up with her version of the Addams family make Wednesday feel like part of that DNA without being too close to the original. Like they get to do their own thing, but it still feels right because we have her there, And as I said, I don't know if it's necessarily so much of a passing of a torch as it felt like she was giving her blessing, because I think without her, I think maybe we might have seen some more complaints about Ortega's version. I think we might have seen more complaints because she is so, in my opinion, so different to Ricci's version that I think by putting her in the show, it made it more acceptable almost.
I mean, Ricci has has said a couple different times, like she wasn't going to be part of an Addams Family thing unless she thought it was really good, unless she got like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to be a part of this. And much like Angelica Houston, when Raul died, it was very much like I can't be a Wednesday without Gomez.
Yeah. It's my Gomez.
Yeah. And so to know that she was like, okay, like I'm ready to be part of this, to me said that the script and the casting and everything else had fallen in line for her to be like, yeah, I can step in and do this. Like, I feel comfortable. And I truly do believe it is passing of the torch, because it's not necessarily the, boom, okay, like here's a blessing, or, yeah, I see you're doing your thing. It's very much saying my time as this character has come to an end. It's not a role that I'm ever going to reprise, but you're taking it on. I'm giving you this torch that is beloved by so many people. Here you go. That's the way I think of it, as a passing of the torch.
That makes sense.
It doesn't mean that it's not a blessing, and doesn't mean that it's not a nod, but for somebody who has said, I'm not taking up that role again, I feel like it is a passing of the torch. I think her playing the villain was the perfect way to do a lot of it, actually, because she does play evil so well. She does play that character that is morally gray. So you sit there and you see her as this like normie, super nice, very friendly, kind of Enid-esque kind of like vibe that is just off center, where you're like, something's wrong with her, but we don't know what it is. And we have so many other things happening in the series that you're like, most people, I should say, were like, she's just here. She's just this fun, fantastic other character. Mm-hmm. But I think it worked. And I think it kind of gave us who grew up with her as our Wednesday a way to like connect to the new series and to fall in love with the new series. But at the same time, get to see her do something fun and new, because we don't always get to see her do something fun and new. And so I think it was a nice, fun way to incorporate old with the new for all of this.
It was exciting for me to see Christina Ricci in a Tim Burton project again.
Right.
Because, of course, she was in Sleepy Hollow. And it was nice to see her coming back to his worlds.
Right. Right. I feel like more and more of his early stuff, people are coming back from it and they're going, we need to work with him again.
Which is like, I remember working with you 30 years ago.
Right?
That's what it is.
He's come back into fashion, though, too. Like, let's be honest. Like, he has come back into fashion.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying that as a diss, because he never left fashion for me, but I don't follow fashion, so it doesn't matter anyway. But, like, he's definitely like that type of thing. He's definitely got it in lockdown.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. So who was your standout performer for this season, and who do you think should have had a little bit more screen time? I mean, we've had Gwendolyn Christie as Principal Weems, who she just had a presence, both physically as well as like personality wise, because she was kind of an antagonist as well as an ally. You had Emma Myers as Enid Sinclair, who was a huge fan favorite, and, gave a really strong performance against Ortega's Wednesday. And then on top of that, you have Catherine Zeta-Jones and Louise Guzman doing Gomez and Morticia. So how do you guys feel about like all of these fun people, and who stood out? Who did you want more from for season 1?
I mean,
I have to keep remembering, like, there is a season 2, but we can't talk about season 2.
We can't talk about it yet because it doesn't exist in this podcast yet. That's not the point. Right. For me, I mean, I think I've already answered this, so I'll just be real quick. I wanted to see more Enid. Emma Myers was my standout. I don't remember who the performer was that played Thing. thing was another just big standout to me because they managed to get that emotion. I don't know if it was purely animation or if they did what they did with the original movie and had
he was a real person.
hand.
It was a real hand. He was a real person, and he would actually do all the motions. Very rarely did they use any CGI with Thing.
Okay. Thing would be a very close second for me because, it's a hand, and that hand managed to have a whole lot of character development, in my opinion. So I would say Emma and then whoever played Thing, which I'm not good at names. So
yeah, I can see that. Beth, how about you?
I don't know if there's one person I would have wanted more of because it tends to come in combos, right? Like we said, we love Enid's character, but we want to see more of Enid with Wednesday. So I don't know that there's one single person I could name that I wanted more screen time with.
What combo?
I think what I would have liked to see more of, because I feel like they sort of started this little storyline and then just it disappeared, was the mayor's son and Bianca. Really see them kind of coming around and very much learning a lesson and starting to be a little more sympathetic. And I would have loved to have seen that explored more. And it kind of opened the door and then walked away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the whole scene with the mayor's son and, Enid was really cute because then he started to realize, oh, they're just like me.
They're not as weird. You're not as weird as I think you are.
They love kung fu movies and
They're like and cocky and stuff like that.
That's like literally a quote from when I graduated high school. Like my people said, my classmates who I'd been with school with for 15 years at that point, because I went to private school, you're not as weird as I think you are. That's the kind of moment that I think the mayor's son had with Bianca. And Enid.
And Enid, yeah. I was like, oh, this is going to be a little love story happening. Yay. Okay. So I wanted more Enid. I wanted more Gwendolyn. Even though, you don't see her as much, you feel her authority. You try to respect her authority. Unless you're Wednesday, you don't respect her authority.
Wednesday doesn't respect anything.
Yeah, Wednesday doesn't respect anything. And, Thing was, I was like, Thing, you go do your thing. How did he teleport a lot? Because that man moved fast. I was like, how did you get over there to there very quick? What's going on here? Yeah, Thing.
When you're small, you become efficient with travel.
Yeah. You can hide in cars and like in people's backpacks and stuff like that. So you're craftier. You allow more people to do the work for you.
The one thing I really missed, I wanted to see, I didn't want to see a picture of Cousin It or It. I wanted to see Cousin It, like an It person. I wanted to see hair.
That would have been cool.
That would have been so cool.
Or the twins.
Or the twins.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Or misfits.
I actually would have liked to have seen more of the students as a whole. Like, I feel like we had like a lot of like very particular students with adults. We didn't get to see like the kids be kids a lot. And I think I would have wanted more of that. I think that's who kind of need more screen time. But for the standout performance, I'm actually going to give it to Christina Ricci, because she had to play this character who was manipulating everything from behind the scenes and not like fully give it away to the characters themselves. Us, the viewer, yes, we're going to have like a different like perspective, but like, the fact that like Wednesday didn't pick up on it until after she was told about the red boots, like, to me,
the little cinnamon bun Eugene.
Eugene was great. I loved Eugene. We haven't talked about Eugene.
Yeah, we should have had more Eugene. Because he was actually a pretty great character. He was pretty essential.
And I think he helped humanize Wednesday a lot. His character, because he even more so than Enid, Wednesday seemed to actually like him.
She kind of did. And there's like, my son kept talking about you. He was so happy that he made a friend. I was like, oh my God, Eugene, don't you die on me. I cried. I
Right?
cried. Little
Right?
cinnamon bun.
Right? He's
Don't
just a
hurt
sweet
my
little
cinnamon
baby
bun.
angel. He's just a sweet little angel baby boy. So Nevermore Academy, I kind of put as a character in itself. The Academy kind of had a lot of character. You have the Gothic architecture, you've got the fog, you got the dark color palette, you have all the spooky and kooky of Nevermore. How effective does the production design of Nevermore help with like the world building of the show for you all? Beth, do you want to start us on that?
Yeah, the first thing I noticed about it is that the front building of the academy resembles the house from the Addams Family television show.
Mm-hmm.
And so they definitely took a lot of design cues from that. And obviously, the stained glass window in Eden and Wednesday's room is so symbolic, but what a great like icon. Like it's you can see that by itself and you know exactly what show is related to. So I think it's a very Tim Burton kind of set design. And I think it was nice to see that nod to the original TV show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Sarah, how about you?
Nevermore is like a very much like a great strength to it, as well as the town design. They contrast each other very well, but Nevermore, the architecture, the fog, the forests, the stained glass, stuff like that makes it feel more real. Obviously, I think they simplified it a little bit more, just like budget constraints. I would have loved to see more of the interior, but like for example, like the fireplace in Weems's office, like it's gorgeous piece of architecture that fits really well in Nevermore, makes it feel real, but then again also makes it feel unreal because this is not a show that's set in any kind of reality. So in that way, it does a very good job. It balances that out.
Yeah.
And so I think the set design, it's definitely one of the show's great strengths. It really fills that void and makes it feel believable.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Nevermore kind of reminds me of all the teenage high school boarding schools. But what stands out to me with Nevermore is because I think it's because I like gothic shit, you know. I keep
Same.
watching. I always watch like Descendants with my niece because she likes the Descendants, and it's kind of a good foil for me because I'm looking at bright, happy children who are singing. Let's go watch Wednesday and be parts of Edgar Allan Poe's dream and Tim Burton's dream. And I love the fact that you got to see at least part of the interior of Nevermore. I would love to see a little bit more. I mean, you got to see the quad. Yay, you got to see the quad. You got to see the nightshade hidey hole. Yay. But
I would
I
have
want to see
liked
the other
more
side.
scenes in there.
Yeah. Well, and then, I was sitting there looking at the fireplace of the principal's room, Principal Beams, and I was like, oh, Tim Burton, you're bringing back memories of Beetlejuice. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And so, the Nevermore is a great little place to have. Yeah, you have like more of the town because it's easier to film a town because everything's set there. You're like, I don't have to build a building. I don't have to do this. Only thing I have to do is decorate it and be done with it. Now, building a set like Nevermore, it's budget. Okay. And I'm glad they put a little bit budget in Nevermore, and I want more of Nevermore.
Yeah.
Hell, they could have made like do Nevermore as let me tell you the story of these children and the random shit that they do.
Yeah. Nevermore was definitely I agree with you all. Like I wanted more Nevermore. The Gothic architecture was beautiful. Like honestly, like the girls' dorm room, I want that as my bedroom. Like,
oh yeah,
same bolted ceilings, a big stained glass window. Like, yes, please. Where do I sign up? Like, I want this. Yeah, and I would have loved to have had more looks at everything. Again, like having them sit down in like the dining hall. Like I would have loved the dining hall. I would have loved, more classrooms other than just, yeah, the one with all the plants. So like I think it was great. It set up a beautiful space for people to like escape into for it being this like not normal story. But I think it was real and it was beautiful and we all truly loved Nevermore. I feel like we've all basically said, I would like to attend Nevermore Academy. Where do I sign up?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to go to boarding school so bad when I was a kid. And like that was before like Harry Potter or anything like that. I like grew up reading stories, book series about a girl who goes to boarding school and like literally solves murder mysteries. So I would have loved to be at Nevermore. So
I love where I live way too much to want to go to a boarding school because boarding schools aren't tropical.
Wow.
and I live in Iowa, so
I live in Florida. I very much
but
like
I'd say this is
the
why I
beaches.
want to get away because I live in Iowa, not in Florida.
I'm gonna write a new book series about a supernatural boarding school in Florida. The werewolves are always sweaty and hot.
Please, please do. Please
And
do.
they never wear t-shirts. Sorry.
I mean, you girls have to wear t-shirts or something, but
No,
we
equal
got our nudist
opportunity.
colonies around here. Like we're good. So obviously, Tim Burton, massive hands on this project. He did direct the first 4 episodes. He kind of set the tone for everything. Obviously, like we have other directors part of it, but he was an executive producer throughout. And then, Wednesday has this iconic black and white wardrobe and everything between all these visual aspects of costuming for the different characters, as well as this Tim Burton visual fingerprint. How well do you guys think the show kind of maintained its aesthetic throughout for you guys?
The aesthetic was another character for me.
Okay.
Like it was a character and like plot device and stuff like that, where like in it, she was colorful and rainbows and everything like that. And then you had like the purple and black uniforms versus Wednesday's like black and white, like like even before she got to Nevermore, it was very obvious like she's separate from everyone around her. She before you speak, she doesn't fit in and she doesn't want to fit in. She doesn't give two hoots about fitting in. Like, they make the joke about how she's allergic to color and she breaks out into hives and she looks like a corpse and stuff like that throughout the thing. But it was like almost like another character to me, the wardrobe and the aesthetics of that. So
I get that. Karen, how about you?
yeah, I actually like her iconic look of the whole black and white because it did remind me of the whole TV series a bit. And I love the contrast of like her versus everybody else because everyone else is like color, hello, you have to have it. It's fabulous. And she's like, I don't care. I just want to be me. Color does not make a person. If you can't see me without color, then why see me at all? And, the whole aesthetic, like what, Sarah says, it's a character on itself. And I have to say that beautiful dress that she wore, oh my God,
Right?
if I could wear something like that, I'd be wearing it every single day. But I live in Georgia and it feels like swamp ass.
Well, every semi gothic brand did their own version of that dress too.
Yeah.
This is true.
Let's be honest.
Yep.
Like
Yep. Yes, they did.
Swamp
yes,
ass.
they
Yeah.
did.
I think they did a good job of maintaining the aesthetic throughout the season, beyond the 4 episodes that Tim Burton directed. But I think the challenge they had is that the pace of the storytelling was so frenetic that there wasn't time to revel in that ambiance. And I think that is something that Tim Burton does very well in his films, is that he gives us time to just sit and enjoy it. Like in the scene where Wednesday is playing her cello, we get to just kind of be in that world a little bit and enjoy it. And so I think because there was so much story to be told, we didn't get to just sit and hang out in the spooky, foggy forest. We didn't get to just sit and hang out in the Nightshades meeting room. So I think that's the only place where it kind of falls down a little bit, is that we just don't get to live in that world as much as we want to, because it's always like, we're in town and now we're at the jail and now we're in the forest and now we're in the school, and there was just a lot of running around going on.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be running in the forest. That'll be great. And then my stupid ass will trip on something.
That's what I was gonna say.
You pull a Eugene. Yeah.
I would 100% be the Eugene in that scenario. Yeah.
I actually do like hiking and all that kind of stuff. I'm weird. I'm kind of gothic, but like I like being outdoors and getting a tan and hiking and camping and all that weird shit.
I think it's fun. I'm just terrible at it, so I don't do it. I'm an indoor girl.
I'm just a klutz. I mean,
well, I
could be walking indoors. I'm still going to trip over something.
Yeah.
I have more chance of tripping something, over something indoors than I am outdoors. So I think I would probably survive more outdoors than I would indoors if like a serial killer would try to kill me.
There you go. Facts. I think Tim Burton set a really great standard and foundation visually and everything. Storytelling wise, I think it was obvious that some of the other directors had different ways of storytelling, but I think aesthetic wise, I think he set a great foundation, and on top of which the costuming department, I think, knocked it out of the park, where even the uniforms themselves were so unique to each character, and like you could, if you popped up like a plain mannequin with the uniform, you knew which character was wearing it. Like you could tell just by looking at the uniform. And again, it's a uniform, so they're all supposed to look the same. But like you could see that Enid's from Bianca's. But then you have also like obviously Wednesday with her iconic black on black kind of deal. But it's the attention to detail when it came to the aesthetic and the costuming out of this world. It was definitely of that top tier Burton quality that we've come to love and know. Like where it's like,
he fit in his black and white stripes.
Oh yeah.
So
of course.
Yes, you have.
How can you
Tim
not?
Burton, no black and white stripes. What?
Right? Even stuff that he's barely attached to has the iconic signature that he likes to have. Obviously, Wednesday is kind of marketed as a horror comedy, and you all know that we are very much believers in comedy and horror, two different sides of the same coin. This obviously has an urban fantasy, background to it. How much genuine horror do you guys think season 1 actually delivers? And do you think it kind of balances out for the show? Beth, do you want to start?
Because I don't know that I would say comedy, certainly not like ha-ha comedy, but there's definitely some kind of winking at the audience that goes on.
Yeah.
I think. Because there is so much about this show that is silly when you think about it. I mean, there's a disembodied hand running around.
It's
that
kooky.
We all cried about when we thought he was going to die. And, there's so much silliness. And so I think you have to be self-aware when you're doing a project like this.
Yeah.
And I think that because the filmmakers were willing to be on board and just be like, yeah, sure, this is totally normal. We're going to treat it like it's totally normal. It's easier for the audience to come along on that ride. And I think you need that lightheartedness and that silliness to balance out the very dark aspects of the show. So I think it's a really good balance.
Okay. Yeah. Sarah, how about you?
So I don't know if I necessarily agree with the people who say it's urban fantasy. Okay. I can understand the urban fantasy elements, but there is more horror elements than I expected from a Netflix show that is geared towards the age group that it is geared towards.
Okay.
It's not necessarily scary, though there is definitely like gory parts to it. I mean, just a disembodied hand is gross in and of itself. You see it stabbed, those kind of things. That is there, but the gothic horror imagery is there. The monsters, even murder mystery, like that creepy atmosphere, like the callback to Carrie, for example. Like those things, like they feel horror, but horror for a younger audience, for a less, they're trying to mainstream horror. I guess it feels more like mainstream younger horror than it feels urban fantasy to me. But I went in expecting the horror aspect of it. So maybe that's why I'm seeing it, because I wanted to see it there.
Yeah. I mean, one of our very first episodes that we did, we talked about the gray area between urban fantasy and horror, and how they have a lot of basic elements, but at the same time the tone is completely different. I feel like because this is an urban setting, and there are fantasy like elements, it does fit the urban fantasy umbrella. It just has a lot of nods to horror, but I don't find it to be, I mean, the definition of horror is it is supposed to scare people. It is supposed to, you're supposed to find something horrifying. Very little in the show is horrifying.
That Pilgrim is horrifying. I'm sorry.
He is, but he's also the villain. So he's kind of supposed to be, even if it wasn't horror, he would still be scary because he's the villain, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Particularly scary at all, but okay.
I mean, speaking as somebody who can't do hardcore horror, I feel like the horror elements of the show were kept light enough for a squeamish person like me to still be able to watch without having both hands over my eyes like this half the time.
Yeah.
I can see the urban fantasy argument, and I don't necessarily disagree with the points people make. But as I said, I want to see the horror elements. So I'm just paying more attention to the horror elements, the horror nods. And I've always, when it comes to horror, been less of a blood, gore.
You don't like the gory stuff?
The type stuff. I like the thriller aspect of it, the mystery part of it,
the psychological
horror type thing. And I can see those threads being pulled on for a younger audience there. So
yeah.
Well, for me, it wasn't really, horror has a whole lot of definition to go to it. I saw it more as like urban fantasy in the same vein as Buffy or Angel, but more darker. Because my niece, who's like 12 years old, I'll let her watch it.
Yeah.
But anything else after that, I'm like, I mean, I did let her watch, Silence of the Lambs, because she wanted to learn she wanted to know more about horror and psychological horror. I let her watch that. I actually had to explain some stuff to her. She's like, I don't care. Let me watch. I love Hannibal Lecter. Okay, cool. So groovy. Wednesdays, I was like, groovy. You like Hannibal Lecter? That's amazing. But for me, it's like I said, it's more of an urban it is horror and it is comedy, but it's not the comedy that I'm thinking of. It's more of the kooky comedy, the silly comedy.
Yeah.
Because Addams Family is silly comedy, and
it is.
It balances out really well for a show that I'll let my nieces watch. If it went like more horror, I'll be like, But then again, like I said, she watched Silence of the Lambs and she told me to shut up when we were watching it.
Oh, that's
to be fair, like my favorite horror movie is Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte. So that gives you an idea of the kind of horror that I like. So 1964 psychological horror thriller. Yes, she's chopping heads, but
it's the best way to do things. I think season 1, for those of us who like horror, so like some of the darker things, some of like the gory stuff. I mean, Karen and I have watched some like pretty disturbing things, especially for the podcast. But I think Wednesday is a perfect gateway drug to horror. I think it has the right amount of horror elements that horror lovers like Karen and I can be like, I love this, while at the same time, like you, Beth, where you're like, I don't do the blood and gore. I don't like the really spooky stuff. can go and be like, nah, this is cool. I dig it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think it's one of the perfect gateways. And I think they balanced it just right enough this season to be able to do that. We talked about how obviously how Wednesday is not normal. And this version of Wednesday Adams has definitely embraced being an icon for neurodivergence being represented in media. Someone who is actually different, even like outside of, this fictional space, resistant to social norms, and kind of finds her people without having to really change who she is. So, how does the show bring that in a way that's kind of actually good? And how effective, like, do you find like the emotional arc for her as a character, despite the fact that she is emotionally closed off, but kind of brings it so we end up falling in love with this character by the end of it all? I know you talked a little bit about her being sociopathic. Beth, do you want to start us off on it?
I think what I would say is that it's not just Wednesday who is able to forge her own path and
Mm-hmm.
still find her place and how she fits in. Because if we look at Enid, I mean, she kind of tells her
Yeah.
parents, like, this is who I am and
You don't like
deal
it?
with it.
Tough.
And so I appreciate that. And I think that's one of the things that makes storytelling with supernatural characters so great is that we are able to explore these differences and explore how people find that way they fit in and find that way that they can be themselves and get their tribe around them. So I really appreciate that.
So I love the representation of what was going on with the emotions of each character because they were able to find themselves without having to change themselves, which was really good because I always tell my niece, you need to be who you are. And if they don't love you for who you are, then why are you friends with them? And, my biggest thing was Eugene because he even said, I don't have any friends. And then later he's like, you're my first friend. And in a way, like, even though Wednesday does not appreciate human emotions, you can see that she was flattered in a
Mm-hmm.
way. And she generally, even though she doesn't show that she cared for Eugene, she did care for Eugene in her own little way because no friend, if she wasn't his friend, she wouldn't be all up in the hospital talking to him, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there she was, just telling him about the day and telling him about the case. And then, he always says, Hummers stick together. And they both stuck together. And, that was really cool because you get to see her emotions grow from being this emotionally shut off person to someone who has emotions, but she's very restrained on who she shows her emotions to. One
Yeah.
thing got hurt, who else was crying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Everybody.
mean,
If you
everybody was
didn't cry,
crying.
you are a sociopath.
Yeah. And so, each character had their own emotional arc going on. You had Enid with her family, you had or character development. You had that poor boy, I forget his name, this mayor's son Walker, who
Yeah.
come to realize that, oh, even though they're outcasts, they're kind of like me. Like Enid likes soccer, not soccer, because it's the World Cup now. Huh? She likes hockey. She likes these kung fu movies. And, you have Bianca who, she only cared about really herself, but she also saw that, do people really care about me for me or because am I the one that's manipulating them? And in
Yeah.
the end, her and Wednesday kind of like had this truce, like
Mm-hmm.
you helped me and you're growing as a person. So there was like, those emotional arcs that I really enjoyed or character development that I really enjoyed for each character. And can I say one thing? Her mother's eye, that
Mm-hmm.
contact, that one little eye contact, I was like, I might want to fix that, reshift that contact. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. 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 I know exactly what you're talking about.
So I guess I'll start with I have feelings as a neurodivergent person about neurodivergency and people reading neurodivergency in a show like Wednesday. I
Mm-hmm.
can definitely see why people connected with her in that way. She's direct, she struggles socially, she misses cues, she's disconnected from her peers. I like that it doesn't treat those as flaws that need to be fixed necessarily. It's not about becoming normal. It's about learning to connect with people while still being herself. All of those things are good things that Wednesday does. Personally, for me, what I struggle with is, there's the neurodivergent, some people say she's autistic side of it. And I struggle with it in the fact that she is a sociopath. Okay. 100%. And I struggle with them making the very obviously neurodivergent person so dark, so almost villainy, almost like she could be a good guy or she could turn into an axe murderer. And they make that, they almost explain those neurodivergent characteristics as an explanation to those parts of her character. And I think it's almost a little bit troubling for me, because as somebody who has struggled my whole life with trying to explain to people that I am not, just because I'm neurodivergent doesn't mean I'm the bad guy. You as neurotypical people may see that as, well, yeah, she's neurodivergent, so it kind of makes sense that she could be the sociopathic bad guy who is going to put a bag of piranhas into the bully's thing to try to kill them, and you're what gives kidnapping a bad name. And those are all jokes, and they're funny to me as somebody who loves that dark twisted comedy. Just the people saying, well, obviously she's autistic or obviously she's neurodivergent, it hurts a little bit, because some people might use that as an explanation on why neurodivergency is something that is bad. Not necessarily because they write it in the show this way, but it's an outward exploration of that. And it's a character that is not meant to be liked. You should not like her, as Beth said, because she is a sociopath. I struggle with the dark part of that, and that being such a big part of the conversation around this character.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Thankfully, that, at least from my point of view, and from what I have personally seen and come across, that was never really the take people were taking with her neurodivergence. Thankfully, I think maybe 20 years ago that might have been a different story, but I think today with a lot of it, I think there are people who feel seen by her. I know people who are on that same spectrum of sociopathy, bipolar, and all that kind of stuff, who liked the fact that it was somebody who didn't have the same social cues as everybody else, was being represented. But, you say as, somebody who you shouldn't like, but they're seeing it as somebody who ended up being the hero of the story. They see.
And I agree with that. As somebody who is neurodivergent, and I am not autistic, and that is the label, which we're not even going to get into. That's the label I see most often identified with Wednesday, as she's autistic. I identify, and I like that part. I just kind of wish that we could have a not dark storyline for a neurodivergent character.
Then I think Wednesday was not the right vehicle.
Right, that's what I'm saying, essentially. Yeah. It's not the right vehicle.
Then I was just going to say, then just Addams Family as a whole would not be the right vehicle, in my opinion. It's spooky and kooky for a reason. And spooky and kooky is going to tread in that dark side. But yeah, it's one of those, I like it, especially, as somebody who was diagnosed later on in life with ADHD, it's kind of nice to see how accepting those communities were of her being different. even
Mhm.
amongst like those who were different, we're like, yeah, we're different too, but like whatever, you can sit at the same table as us. It's not a big deal. And I liked that. I liked how it kind of normalized it to a certain extent. Because if you go
Mm.
back and you really look, it's not even just Wednesday. It's a majority of the characters are neurospicy in some way, where like all of us can sit there and be like, yeah, no, I totally do that too. Yep. And so it kind of gives you like a good way to be able to see it and to fall in love with the characters and see yourself in the characters. So Wednesday broke Netflix records with 341.2 million viewings in the out or viewing hours in its opening week. And that's across every demographic: kids, teens, adults, casual viewers, and obviously horror fans. What do you think it is specifically about this property and this specific interpretation that kind of achieved that reach? What does the cultural explosion say about the appetite for the spooky and kooky and character driven content right now?
I mean, who doesn't like the Addams family? I mean, when people heard that, they're making a Wednesday, people want to be like, what was she like as a teenager? Did she go, the way of Morticia, or did she go her own way? And I have an appetite for character-driven content because you sometimes don't get to see character-driven content. You see a lot of like plots, murder mystery. You don't get to focus on one character that you like, unless you're doing like, Agatha Christie's Poirot or Miss Marple. And so, the thing about Wednesday is the fact that she comes from a loving family. They love each other. They accept outsiders. And this interpretation of it is like, what happened between you and your mother and father? I want to know more. Okay, now I notice you solved this whole mystery you're on right now. Let's see what happens in your family. I want to know what happened between you and your mother. Is it because y'all both have the same powers? Or is it because you think you don't live up to the standard of your mother? Give me more of that.
I mean, I totally get the whole being too much like your mother, and so you hate your mother because you're just like your mother. Circle.
I know. Me and my mom are two different people, but we love each other.
There are very specific ways I am just like my mother, and they're the things I hate the most about her.
Same.
And don't get me wrong, like I absolutely love my mother. I am very blessed to have a mom that like loves me and cares for me. But the things that like I'm like that annoys the crap out of me are the things that I like. They're the things I kind of hate about myself as well. Or like they're the things that I'm like, I could be better about this. Like they're my personal opportunities. And I look back and I'm like, well, at least I got it honest. Like you know?
But I think it's stuff like that makes a show like this so relevant right now, is because it does make you think.
Yeah.
For as ridiculous as this setting is, the human emotions that are being dealt with and those kind of questions that are being raised about these relationships between people are still something that we can relate to. We're just getting to do it in a very fantasy kind of setting.
Oh yeah.
And I think that, horror seems like it's really, I mean, not that horror ever went out of style, but it's definitely, there's a lot of good horror coming out right now. And I know that, like, as far as like gothic culture goes, like there's a ton of new goth bands on the scene right now. And so I think there's just this movement toward a darker aesthetic, a darker sort of exploration.
The Cramps blew up because of this.
Yeah.
Like they had a resurgence,
Totally.
Yeah, I totally get that.
For me, Wednesday was like a perfect storm of factors. So, Wednesday came out during a post-pandemic phase where nostalgia really was selling. Okay. Especially like one thing you see even today is like remakes of everything. Okay.
Ugh.
And that's because nostalgia sells. I mean, especially for the millennial generation, Gen X generation, we're raising our own kids. Not that I've spawned, But that's the mentality of we want to see our things and be able to share those things with the new generation in a maybe a little bit more of a digestible way for them. So I think that's kind of where Wednesday's the first excitement from Wednesday came out of, is that nostalgia aspect, because everybody during the pandemic, we didn't have anything else to do other than sit around and watch old movies and TV shows and get on the internet and deep dive and explore things, because we couldn't do anything else because we weren't around each other. And so I do think that is part of it, and I'm not going to get into this whole tangent, but at one point there was, it was kind of during the reacceptance of Johnny Depp, there was questions whether or not he was going to be part of the TV show because he had been more socially acceptable at that point, which brings Tim Burton, because he is so closely associated with Tim Burton. So I think Tim Burton benefited from that. I think it was a perfect storm of everything. And I think to play off of Karen's reaction when I said we're seeing remakes of everything, the UGG factor did not hit here, okay, because it was done well. It wasn't a remake for the sake of being a remake. It didn't try to reinvent what was done before. It did its own thing and did it well, which Netflix doesn't always do. And studios don't always do. So I think that's part of the reason Wednesday did as well as it did. And I can't wait to see what they do with it more with it.
Yeah. I think Netflix, because they got the right people involved, were able to do it well. And I truly do believe they got the right people involved. If they had done it and they didn't get Tim Burton on, I don't think it would have done as well as it did. I don't think it would have done as well had they not gotten Christina Ricci in on it. I don't think it would have done as well had they not had a strong actress like Jenna to play Wednesday. There's a lot of people who were part of the making of this that if they had not been a part of it, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have worked. Yeah. It very much is the right people were involved. I think it was also at a time where people wanted the nod to nostalgia, not the nostalgia itself. Don't give me a remake of Addams Family, but give me a spinoff that expands the story, expands the universe, gives more to it than just
Is it more meat and bones?
Yeah, exactly. If you were a student at Nevermore Academy, what kind of outcast would you guys want to be? And which character would you immediately befriend?
I don't know.
Go ahead, Karen.
I know if I was an outcast, I don't know what group would I be in, but I know my power will be nullify, meaning I could nullify any other power's effect.
I could see you as a wolf.
I could be a wolf, but my power would be oh, you're turning into a werewolf. Nullify. But I think I would like hanging out with Eugene the most because he's just a little cinnamon bun and with his bees, and I love me some honey. So we'd be hanging out together with his bees and gathering honey.
Gotcha.
I'm so into the paranormal and I write ghost stories and things like that. So I think I would have to be a psychic medium.
Okay.
And I would definitely have a massive crush on Xavier, but he probably wouldn't give me the time of day. And so I'd probably just be, I don't know, probably lurking with Eugene and the bees as well.
Yeah. I mean, Eugene's a vibe. He's a total vibe, right?
I love him so much.
Yeah, he's the whole vibe, man. I'm yeah.
He's the real hero.
Yeah, he is.
He is. He's a brave little nugget.
I mean, he's the one that got Thornhill in the end. So
Yep. He did the work.
Well, I know what I would have wanted to be, which would be a psychic. What I would probably actually be would be a shapeshifter. Let's be honest, I have way too much theater kid in me. I would be I can automatically change my appearance and become whatever I wanted to be. Like, that would be me, absolutely 100%. As far as who I would be friends with, naturally, I kind of gravitate towards no one specific type. Uh, I would probably like Enid in pieces, but she would probably drive me nuts after a while. I would probably be more likely to gravitate towards a Wednesday who like didn't overwhelm my already like neurospicy brain. Like I could be quiet because there are times where I don't want anybody to talk to me. I just want to hang and like
See, I could see you hanging out with the sirens.
the sirens could absolutely be it, but I wouldn't be like I would be like the one in the corner. I probably would not be hurt. I would be a lurker. I wouldn't be a participant as much. I would be the one who would hang out in like the secret society, like in reading the books, doing the art. I want to have like the artist cave like Xavier did, like, where like just leave me alone. Like,
Yeah.
I genuinely like hanging around with people when I'm just like I like a proximity friend that I can geek out and I can talk to you. But I'm also not required to like constantly have like the energy turned on. So
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
so yeah, I would want to be a psychic, but I would actually be.
Yeah. Yeah. I I don't know who I'd want to like what kind of outcast I would be. I probably would end up being a shifter. Yeah. Because I like the outdoors. I like a good full moon. So why not? Be a shifter. The person who I probably would immediately befriend, it actually probably would be Wednesday. Just because I'm that like that dry friend that'd be like, look, as long as we're in the same room, I'm good. Like
That's why we're friends, Shannon. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. But at the same time, like I would get along with Enid, but it definitely would be in doses. Like it would definitely not be a bestie situation.
Doses, yeah.
I know
when she did her little cloth. That was so cute. I was like,
it was adorable. Absolutely adorable.
I want her nails.
Yes.
With the rainbow claws.
So, last question before we end it. If you could have a spinoff of any single character from Nevermore Academy into their own show, who would it be?
Enid.
Okay. Why do you say Enid?
Because she's got the most potential story. I'm talking season 1. Okay. So like if we were talking season 2, it would be different. But for season 1, definitely Enid, because I would love to know like a little bit more of her like family story and like her growing up. You know, she's gone through like the trauma of not being able to shift and like being the girl in her pack and all of that and like falling in love with the stoner and like all of that. So the Gorgon.
Yeah.
So I think it would be Enid for me.
Enid. Okay. Beth, what about you?
I'm gonna go with Thornhill / Lauren. I mean, here's this woman that comes from a family that hates outcasts, and she had to go and learn everything about these plants, and she had to get a job at a school for outcasts. And I want to see her absolutely unhinged revenge story.
Okay.
And also, I want to see, we know she brought Crackstone back using Goody's book. We know she had that like shrine set up at the house with the candles and stuff. I want to see all of that. I want to know how that all went down for her.
And like how she got Tyler and like.
Yes. How did she identify him as a Hyde, and how did she go through that process of like waking him up? It would be a dark show with no happy ending, but I want to see that.
No, I'd be down for that. I'd be down for that.
I actually want to see like, Gomez, Morticia, and Reams,
Okay.
like a season of that, like them at Nevermore. I want to see,
Okay.
how they had to deal with that whole
The adults at Nevermore.
yeah, the
Okay.
adults and like had to deal with that whole murder situation and the love story between, or the love square really, because Weems had a crush on Gomez and Morticia was a love, and then you have the Grant
Mm-hmm.
guy. And so I want to see more of that. I want to see that.
That'd be kind of cool.
I do want to say it is getting a spinoff.
Yeah.
Fester is getting
Oh.
a spinoff.
Yeah, we do know that.
Not the spinoff I'd want to see, but it is getting one.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Fred, he's a talented guy. Was he my favorite Fester? No, but that's a whole other episode we could do.
I
Favorite
just
Festers.
didn't want it to go without saying when we were talking about potential spinoffs. It is already getting one.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I this was just more of like a fun question of like who would you guys want? Personally, I would have actually liked a Thing spinoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want his story. I want Thing's story. Like I want to know how he keeps his nails trimmed. Like
How does he like moisturize himself? Yeah.
right? How do you moisturize
Yeah.
yourself?
That's a good question.
Like I have questions. I need answers, and a spinoff's the only way it's gonna
And
happen. So
If we can't get a Thing spinoff, can I at least have like a TikTok showing us videos of how he does these things?
yes, exactly. Like
that'd be good marketing thing. for
Right.
them.
Wouldn't it?
oh my god, that would be such a good marketing. Oh, that would be
Things with
hilarious.
Thing.
Things with Thing, yeah.
Everyday
my
things
goodness.
with Thing.
Netflix, call us.
Exactly.
10%. That's 10%.
10% just for the title, then like good 20% on top of ideas.
Yeah, they're not going to pay that, but 10%. 10% they could. But we have talked long enough. I know we can talk way more. There might be more. But we're going to do our final thoughts and ratings. We do skull ratings here, 1 through 5. 1 because they tried, and 5 because it's just that fan-fucking-tastic. So, Wednesday, season 1, how does that hold up for you guys? And where do you want the show to go from here? Beth, you get to go first.
I'm going to give it 3.75 skulls and 2 snaps.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy this show. I think that the pitfall they have to avoid is getting too overly complicated with their plots, like Riverdale did, and getting kind of a little trying too hard to be weird. But I think if they can kind of keep the vibe of season 1, I think we can have some really good seasons of this show.
Rock on. Rock on. Sarah, how about you?
I'm actually going to agree with Beth. I got 3.75. I think that there are a lot of things that Wednesday succeeds on because they understand the Addams family, they understand their demographic, and it's not weird just for the sake of being weird. But it was short. As we've been saying the whole time, it could use just like another couple of episodes. And as I said at the beginning, the romance aspect of it, like, it's an automatic deduction, like point deduction for me because it played too important of a role for something that in the end didn't matter. So.
All right. Karen, how about you?
I give it a 4. I like the whole, the buildings, and I love Nevermore because, the gothic feel of it and whatnot. I love the town because it feels like a small little hometown that people want to get out of because it's a podunk town. I like the aesthetics of all the characters. And you know what? The only reason why I'm giving it a 4 is because the whole romance part really wasn't necessary. And you may need another episode or two just to like, explore some ideas that they had but didn't really get to but they rushed into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually would give it a 4. I would give it a 4. yeah, it could have used a couple more episodes to kind of like fully flush out a few different things. But knowing what we know now, that there is second season and going to be a third season, I'm kind of okay that they left some things open for us to be able to explore a little bit more down the road. I do hope, and where I would really like the show to go is that they don't forget the roots of where Wednesday came from, because that was probably my biggest thing, was that it kind of took away from where like their source material. And I really do think that they need to remember that going forward. But first of all, thank you, Beth and Sarah, for joining us tonight. And thank all of y'all for spending so much time at Nevermore with us tonight. We have the best listeners in the horror game. You guys are the coolest horrorholics. We are so grateful for each and every single one of you. Wednesday season 1 proved the right character, the right performer, and the right creative team can actually take something very beloved and make it completely new without losing a single drop of what kind of made us fall in love with it in the first place. Alrighty. We have some amazing guests. Beth and Sarah, thank you again so much for joining us. But where can they find you guys? And what all do you have going on? Beth, you want to start us off?
Sure. You can find me online at bethdolgner.com. All my links to my social media are there. And if you ever wonder what kids like the supernatural ones at Nevermore Academy did when they were young, you can read the cozy fantasy I have coming out in February 2027 about a supernatural summer camp where kids go. It's set in my Nightmare Arizona universe, and it's called Cryptids and Campers. So that is my current project.
Fun. That is awesome.
Nice.
Very nice. Sarah, where can they find you?
The best place to find me is something completely non-horror related, but that's okay. Is Dragon Con Theater and Performing Arts Lovers unofficial. It's my little pet project going on. Other than that, you can find me around. I have a podcast that only released a couple of episodes. We're hoping to start it back up here. We'll see if that happens. I hate editing.
I understand.
Other than that, you can find me around the space, I'm hoping to branch out a little bit, get back into doing podcasts and stuff like that. So
rock on. Karen, where can they find you? And do you got anything fun going on?
Let's see. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, TikTok, and Reddit. Right now, trying to write my novel and have it done before Dragon Con.
Ooh.
It's a task.
You got this. Hey,
yeah,
what I've read so far, fan-fucking-tastic.
Thank you. If you go to Dragon Con, I'm like on 85 billion panels.
Same.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. I'm on 85 billion panels. I might have to become multiple man and just make multiple copies of myself. But other than that, like I said, I'm trying to work on this novel and try to stay sane.
You got this. You got this. You're a rock star.
And we're all mad here, so sanity is overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If you're a writer, it's actually a good trait.
Yeah.
Very much so. My name is T or Spill Tea. You can find me on all the things at Spill Tea Wine Media Mind. Yeah, I got Dragon Con happening. Trying to get some internet stuff figured out so I can get back to Twitch streaming. And then we got a ton coming up for Dragon Con. We are going to be doing a live show, which we're very excited about, and we would love for all of y'all to come. We'll even have stickers for you guys. But yeah, I'm moderating and being a panelist on a few different panels as well. So it's going to be a very exciting weekend at Dragon Con. So, right. But again, our fellow horrorholics, we actually want to hear from you guys. Are you Team Enid or are you Team Wednesday? So which side of the bedroom are you going to be sleeping in? We want to hear from you, so you can drop it in our comments, slide into our DMs, or email us at earthstationboo@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, or share. It helps fellow horrorholics find us. So if you haven't already, please do so. Come join the conversation in our Discord, find all of our links at our link tree, and don't sleep on the merch store. Currently rocking the hoodie and the beanie, and I love them. New episodes drop every week, and we are still trying to get our movie nights on Sundays. So if you guys want to do that, hit us up in the Discord. We're more than happy to hang out and have some fun. But stay weird and stay spooky, our fellow horrorholics.
That's a wrap for Earth Station Boo. Thanks for listening. Follow, share, and find all our links in our link tree. Until next time, stay spooky.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.